Students, we are discussing international organization, and today topic is very important and interesting. That is EEC, or we call now EU. EEC means European Economic Community, which was formed in 1957, and it was renamed in 1993 as European Union. It has 27 members as per today, and today is April 2026. Why this organization was formed? We all know there was two world wars, World War I and II, and most of the battle was fought in Europe. So the maximum damage was done to the Europe, and Europe was shattered, and the power shifted from Europe to USA. Many talented people, technologies, innovations shifted from Europe to US in 19th and early 20th century. Also, USSR became a power in 1917. To counter this, or to have a better security, better peace, they started thinking, let us build up a bloc. And that bloc was called as EEC, and now we call European Union. So Europe is trying to build up that bloc slowly. Now it is being supported and friended by US. But in the recent times, when the Trump came, the European Union again started thinking that we should not be dependent on Europe. We need to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-strong, so that Europe can become a powerful place in the world in their own sense. Plus, Europe should have peace. But then there's one more problem which is coming up. That problem is attack of Russia on Ukraine and so on. So that has also shattered the soul, the spirit, the mind of European Union. They started thinking that US is not providing that support to Ukraine or to the Europe which they needed. So they are trying to increase the budget, that means defense budget, building up their arms and working together to have a single policy in the Europe as far as international relations is concerned, plus developing the trade among themselves. So we are now moving to page number 1, and here I need to mention we have given some points which are important for your exam. There is no need to remember everything from the topic. Yes, you should read the story, understand my story, that will build up a map in your mind. But what points are important for the exam? Because we are focusing on the competitive exams. So let us start from page 1. So here we have, this is page number 1, where we have given the map of European Union, that how many countries were there originally. Now there are how many countries? And let us start from here. EEC, European Economic Community, this abbreviation you should know. It was established in 1957. And then it was converted into a new name known as, or changed to a new name known as European Union in 1993. But there was a change over the time, and this date, that means 2020, that UK abandoned, I will not say abandoned, left the EU, and now they have only 27 members. So how many memory points are there? 13. I'm repeating this page again. The first, you should remember this abbreviation. Second abbreviation. These you should be able to remember in your mind for your exam. Point number 1, point number 2. Point number 3 is, where is point number 3? This is point number 3, which says that how many countries were there originally? 28. Then headquarters at Brussels, Belgium. And UK left EU in 2020. We have already discussed. And now there are 13 points we are going to discuss. Out of 13, 4 we have already solved here, told here. So try to remember these 4 points in your mind for your competitive exam. Students, we are on page number 2, where we are going to describe and discuss again that EEC, which was formed in 1957, renamed as European Union in 1993. So what was the agenda program of EEC and what is the agenda of EU, which is from one step of history to the second step? Here he says that after World War I and II, because of the two wars, Europe had a lot of damage in all spheres. So they wanted to have a peace and stability in Europe. That was the reason that they made this bloc. Then number two, common market, so that they can do trade among themselves from one country to other country, like from France to UK, France to Belgium, France to Netherlands, France to Germany, and so on. Free movement of goods, yes, trade, services, capital, people, so that people can move without barriers, without borders. And then that will promote the economic growth and social growth. Then reduce the trade barriers, no tariffs. Like tariff means when you take goods from one country to other country, there are certain duties are there, maybe custom duties, maybe other duties, those we call as a tariffs. So they were moving towards there should be no tariff of movement of one good from one country to another country and so on. But it was improved by putting at European Union, 1993. Now they're looking for economic and political integration so that they can become economically and politically one group, so that they can represent Europe in the world affairs, in the world platform as a one bloc. Then create a single market. Single market. There should be one market with same rules and regulations. Then third is support sustainable development and digital growth. And fourth is strengthening the cooperation of areas of security, environment, and trade. So this was the purpose of coming of European Union that was formed in 1993. So in exam, you should be able to remember when it was formed, this organization, when this was formed, and how these 4 points have transformed to these points. So this will tell you the background and make you confident to understand the topic. Now we are moving to the next. This is page number 3, where again we are writing the same. It was established in 1957 and it was renamed as European Union in 1993. But this is again establishment date. But this you should be able to know that Euro currency, single currency were launched on 1st January 1999. The purpose was to single market, single currency, single rules, single customs, single duties, no trade barriers, and single passport. So that was the goal of the Europe. When this Euro was started, initially the cost of Euro or the price, comparative price of Euro was less than the US dollar, but because of the group and because of the economic strength, the Euro is now, in terms of world trade, it is becoming its value or money value is more than US dollars. So that was a big achievement by the Europe, and it could set up an example for other continents and other blocs, like we have a SAARC, African Union, and so on. Member countries were 28, now 27. I told you that UK left EEC or European Union. And then the headquarters is that located in Belgium, that means Brussels, which is a capital of Belgium. So we are now on point number 13. We are moving to see, this is point number 5 on this page. Now we are going to take another 8 points. And this page, there's only one point to be remembered, that in European Council meeting was held in March in Brussels, because Brussels is the capital of Belgium and headquarters of European Union. And main points of meeting focus was on the Ukraine. Ukraine crisis play an important role because that has put a mindset in the mindset of the Europeans or the European Union that Ukraine should be protected against Russia. Otherwise, the whole Europe will be threatened by Russia. The next is strengthening the defense cooperation, because US is taking hand away. US is saying that we are not going to give so much support in terms of financial aid for military buildup, and we will not be able to expand military bases in Europe because they say Europe should be able to bear the own expenses of maintaining the security, particularly the defense security. Then discussion on economic stability and inflation. You all know economic stability of any country, continent is very important. So they are working together so that they can have a financial stability as well as able to control the inflation, the price rise. That may be because of war, maybe Ukraine-Russia war, maybe Middle East war, which is between US, one side, Israel one side, and on the other side is Iran and so on. And the barrel price of oil is increasing rapidly. It has crossed 100. So that is some kind of putting inflation pressure on here. Plus the trade routes are blocked. So sea trade has becoming difficult, particularly in the Strait of Hormuz. Also, this flying from one continent, one country to other continent becoming difficult because of the rising price of aviation oil, and so many conflicts are there in the world. So Europe is trying to find out that how we can solve this problem at a continent level. Next is energy security. They should have their sufficient, because Europe is too much dependent on Russia for gas. So they are trying to build up technologies and finding alternative ways so that their dependence on outside world should be less. And then focus on climate and green transition. So Europe is very particular that how they can take care of the climate and protect it. Now in this page, we should only be remembering that European Council meeting was held here. And the main points we have discussed already in this page. Now we have done 6 points out of 13. Now in this page I have a 1 point, that is point number 7. I think there's only 1 point. Yeah, here they say the latest EU meeting of foreign ministers was held in April 2026 and in Luxembourg, which is the capital of Luxembourg. It's a country, small country in Europe. Important points: that before the meeting, the European Union heads meeting was held in March. Purpose was, in Brussels, purpose was again the same thing. Ukraine war, Middle East war, rising prices, trying to strengthen Europe, taking care of themselves, not depending on US and military aid and other help, and so on. Then European Union approved 60 billion euro loan to Ukraine, which was being halted, blocked by Hungary, because Hungary was not interested that Ukraine should get so much money from Europe region. Hungary is more close to Russia. Plus, Hungary says that Europe should not be spending money on Ukraine. It is Ukraine fight, and that money should be utilized by building up infrastructure, economic stability, peace, and helping the people of Europe instead of helping Ukraine with such a huge aid. But now it has been passed by European Union because Hungary lifted that veto. That veto means that Hungary had a power to say no to the European Union, that we will not allow. If Hungary says no, it means no. Veto power means if I say yes, it will become a yes, any member. So Hungary was saying that we are not interested. The European Union should give so much aid to Ukraine. So those money or that money should be used for the Europe only. Next is meeting focused on continuous financial and military support for Ukraine. Yes, European Union is saying that we will continue this financial support and military support to Ukraine, because I've told you earlier, Ukraine is fighting a war with Russia, and Europe thinks they are fighting the war, or Ukraine is able to convince Europe, I'm fighting this war for Ukraine and for the whole Europe against Russia. If I'm defeated, if I'm captured, then whole Europe will be under threat from Russia. So because of that, Europe is trying to help in all ways to Ukraine. Now we are moving to the next point. Here we have discussed 7th point out of 13 points for your exam. Now here, if you see that how many points we have, this is a point for your exam. But what is the story? This is again a point for your exam. These are 2 points, 8 and 9. So main outcomes of the March summit. What happened? One Europe, one March agenda. It has been achieved up to a certain extent, but they are moving closer to that. One Europe, one market. No trade barriers. Free flow of trade. That will help Europe to become a stronger economic bloc, because earlier they were doing trade with USA, in large trade, still they do, but they don't want to be dependent on the outside world up to maximum extent. So purpose is to boost competitiveness, remove 10 major barriers in a single market. So any barrier which is still pending, they want to remove it by March 27th. Ukraine means that two European Union did not support the statement of Hungary and Slovenia. It adopted a separate statement reaffirming the support of Europe. So there are two countries which are saying that we don't want to support Ukraine so much as other European members are asking for. Those two countries are Hungary and Slovakia. So they are saying that no, we don't should support so much to Ukraine because we have own issues. Let us solve our own issues. Let us grow ourselves, and Ukraine should be not given so much help, because otherwise Europe is spending billions of euros and time in helping the Ukraine to continue the fight with Russia. And these two members say if it continues, that war can spread to the other countries of Europe. It has to be halted. So they are slightly pro-Russia. So next is Middle East. Middle East means European Union condemned the strikes on Iran, which was done by US and Israel. So they don't approve this. And this meeting was also attended by Home Secretary-General of United Nations, Antonio Guterres. He said that attack on Gaza, which was done by Israel, attack on West Bank, Lebanon, and plus attack of US and Israel on Iran is not appreciated, not accepted, because that is causing a lot of issues in the world in terms of increasing inflation, barriers, spending billions of dollars in the war, and that tension has led to increase the world inflation, particularly coming from the trade and oil. Then next is security, defense, migration budget is also the agenda of European Union, that how we can have a better security, how we can keep ourselves strong enough without depending upon the outside world, particularly on USA. And then migration, that we should have a single migration policy. We can't open the doors for everyone, so that any person who wants to migrate to Europe should have a single migration policy, not from country to country, which is still there. And then building up the budget, not only for defense, for other development areas also. This is a page where we are remembering this 8th point, one Europe, one market point. And next is who is the Secretary General of United Nations, is Antonio Guterres. So these are the 2 points out of 13. So now we have done with up to 9 points for your exam. Why we are giving points? Because that will make you focus, just to remember, just to cram, just to understand those points. Now we are on the next page. Here there are 2 points to be remembered, point number 10 and 11, which are correlated. So earlier we had 28 members. Now instead of 28, now we are left with 27 members in European Union. This is the list of those 27 members. Now here says the UK left European Union on 31st January 2020. 31st January. Reason of leaving UK was so many reasons that we'll discuss later on. But here you should only remember when it left. And then there was a transient period, because leaving is not one day, it is a process. You have to leave, you have to do so many formalities. So it took some time. So since January 1, 2021, UK has been third country to EU. That means it said we want to exit, and they exited by 1st January 2021. So it took them almost a year to exit. And why Europe now is without UK, that we will discuss in next videos. So here you should remember only for exam when they decided to leave and when they left. When they decided to leave and when they left. And now we have only 27. This is an important point of this page. Now we are moving to the next. The UK is no longer member of market. It is a now third country. That means Europe is one continent or one block, and UK is a different. It doesn't attend any council meetings. UK doesn't still cooperate, but still it cooperate with certain issues with the European Union. Like they cooperate with each other in terms of security as a continent, as a Europe. They help each other in helping the developing the energies, sustainable energies, and providing the technology to each other. And third is a science to separate agreements. That agreement EU UK, those agreements are there because UK is not part of now European Union. And now European Union has 27 members that we have already discussed. UK left, and second country which left was Greenland. So Greenland left in 1985. So these two countries are not part of European Union. We're repeating it again and again. So we are now moving to the next page. On this page, we have 1.13. This is the last point. What happened about the updates? So these updates you need to take care of from the news, from current topic, from magazines, or from different websites. But you can also visit our website and see what updates we are doing on this. We are giving you updates till April 2026 for your exam. Again, I'm repeating, all GK we are giving examination oriented with no stories at all. We have told you there are 13 important points in European Union, and this is a memory points. And which is the 13th point. This is the 13th point which you need to remember, which is a current topic of European Union. So EU sanctions imposed 20th package of sanction on Russia. So Europe is trying to put sanctions on Russia again and again. So this was a 20th package because Europe is very afraid if Russia is able to succeed in Ukraine, so then next target can be other countries of Europe, as this idea was told repeatedly by Ukraine, trying to convince other partners of Europe, you need to help me, otherwise if I'm lost, you all will lose. Next is Ukraine support, again moving around that only. So they have approved $90 billion to Ukraine recently on 23rd April 2026. Earlier, Hungary was putting up on hold by using its veto power. Hungary was using the veto power. I will not allow this much aid to Ukraine. But now Hungary has lifted that veto power, has left that veto power. In the meeting, he said, you can continue. I'm not going to veto it. I'm not going to say no to it. So this financial aid of 90 billion euros to be given to Ukraine. Economic policy. Again, repeating, we have done one Europe, one market. Enlargement policy. EU is trying to expand. Now they have 27 countries. They want these countries to be included. They want Ukraine to be the part of that. They want Moldova to be part of this. They want Western Balkan states to be part of this. Why EU is trying to expand? Because the more countries they have, the more strength they will build up. So that is the policy of European Union. So in all these stories, now everything we have discussed, the purpose is European Union is to build up a bloc so that it can be safe in terms of security, in terms of economic stability, financial stability, and can become a powerful negotiator on the world table. That is the reason that Europe is trying to rediscover and build up into a bloc. And if you ask me, which is one of the powerful blocs of the world, I will say one is the US, Canada, and second is this European Union. And in my terms, European Union is very powerful bloc if they come together in all ways, and in the future they may be able to counter US as they say in all terms. So now we have finishing this topic. I hope you have enjoyed this topic, and you need to remember these 13 points for European Union or of European Union for your exam. So be focused and listen to my videos again and again so that there can be clarity in your mind. Now one more point, that is a energy security. So these countries are trying to help each other so that they can have a sustainable energy and self-sufficient. I've told earlier, Europe is very much dependent on other countries like Russia for gas pipelines. So they need to come out of it. And next is migration pact. They want a new migration policy. That means that any person who wants to go on to Europe, they should be able to have a single policy for the immigrants, not policy from country to country, because few countries have a easier access, other countries are tough to migrate. So they want to have a single policy of European Union in terms of migration. Then environment, Europe is want to have a very sustainable environment, so they are spending this much money on green and sustainable projects. There's no need to remember this for your exam, but you should be able to know Europe is trying to build up a sustainable energy so that, and taking care of the environment, because that is very important for all of us, particularly for Europe, the way they are standing in the middle of the world. Thank you, students. 13 points, memory points. Remember these for exam, and I hope you will be able to solve question based on these 13 points.